Now we are going to start this with strong FTFL entries because most times you might be waiting for FTFL, but the FTFL is less powerful. It's no more powerful like before. Now, when we are trading this and we expect the next week or the next candle to always use our FTFL, I'll use this as an example. Let's say this is the current day, this is the previous day. You just ignore this part. Now, we want to identify how to get a powerful FTFL. If this is the current day, this is the previous day, our valid FTFL is supposed to come from this OCL here. Now, if this current day, what we expect this current day to do is to come to this FTFL, this OCL, which we have here, we're using for our FTFL. We expect the market to come here. Let's say there's a valid key level on STFL and TTFL, and we are on this daily time frame. What we expect the market to do is to come to this FTFL the next day, to come down here. Because for you to know if here is going to work and the market comes back to take our hit our TP, is for this current day to come and tap inside the TTFL. If this current day doesn't come to our TTFL here to tap us in, and the next day it did not come here to tap us in, this area which we're using our TTFL is not as powerful if the market came here the next day. Remember, I said this is current day. For example, this current day, this is the previous day, and we have a valid OCL here, which we are using as our FTFL. What we expect is for the next day to come down here. Now, if the market comes down here and this FTFL has valid STFL and TTFL, and the market comes back here the next day, which is going to be this black candle, this area is going to be very powerful for us to pick a trade. It's going to be very powerful because this was formed previous day, this current day, still coming back here. But if the market comes but was not able to tap here, going on to the next day, which is going to be this candle, this FTFL is less powerful. Not that the market, it doesn't work sometimes. Sometimes it might work, but it's less powerful. Because for it to be powerful, the market was supposed to use it this day after this previous day. Let's take example from this very USD JPY trade. This was previous week. This is the current week that just ended yesterday. This was previous week, and this was the current week. What we expected from the market, remember, this is our valid FTFL, which was an OCL, which was very valid. This was the trade that gave us 46 RR. Now, what we expected this week was for this week to enter inside here, and that's what the market did. It entered perfectly and tapped us in. Had it been this week did not enter this place, then when the next day opens, when the next week opens, I'm not going to consider here as a strong entry point again. You know why? Because the previous week, this currently was the week that was supposed to come in here and use this one. The same thing with this one over here. When this candle, let's say this was an OCL, one lap OCL, let's say it's a one lap OCL, which is perfect. And this was, let's say this black one was the current candle. What we expected from this current candle was to come and tap here. This was the entry point, which we were expecting the market to come and tap. So if this market came to this FTFL, and inside this FTFL, there is a valid STFL and TTFL, this is going to be a very powerful entry for us to use, a very powerful trade. Because this entry, the market is approaching the entry the next week, making it to be strong. But after this week happened, and this week did not come here, the following week open, this is the following week started, I'm not going to consider here as a powerful entry anymore, because that's one of the mistakes people make when you see people trading this kind of concept. So when the market comes to your entry the next day or the next week, it makes that entry very strong. So for the USD JPY trade, which we took this week that just ended, it was here when the market came to this place. It was a very solid trade. So when I saw that, I marked it out and waited for it to come there, and it came. The same thing with let's say this one weekly. This gold. Let's see gold. Weekly time frame. If the market came close. The same thing happened here. Check this out. When we had this one, let's keep it here. When we had this OCL, this was, let's say this was the previous candle, and this black here was the current candle. Let's say this was the current candle. What we expected for this candle to do was for this candle to come and tap here. And let's say there was a valid STFL and TTFL below here. Then this market coming to tap here would have been the best entry. That's the best entry and very powerful entry. Why? Because the next candle, the next week is the candle coming to our entry. Now, if this entry is not going to hold or the market just wants to change storyline, you see that the current day candle will not tap the entry we got from the previous day. You understand me? The current day will not tap the entry we had on the previous day. Immediately we see that, we know already that this place is less powerful. But if you still want to pick trade, because sometimes I still place my trades there, because sometimes it will still use that level. What I do, I reduce my entry amount, the amount I want to risk. I reduce it and still pick my trade. But 80% of the time, this area won't be disrespected. But for you to gain and also enter the trade, 20% of the time where this area will be respected, you can put in a little. If your risk entry amount, the amount you always risk per trade is $100, you can still put 20 here. We'll talk on obstacle. We are done with the other one. Then if you have something like this, if I have something like this is a downtrend. I'm expecting the market to come here because remember, we don't really trade RBS or SBR. I'm expecting the market to come to this place. So if the market comes here, tap me in, this is where I want to take out my next profits. But what if the market does not get to that point? That means there's an obstacle. This place here, which is RBS, can act as obstacle. You see that the market can use here, moves a little, create another structure and break. Now, when the market breaks here, we have valid place to enter the trade, either this IAB resistance or the apex resistance. So this place can act as obstacle because this apex is supposed to be our valid entry. So here can act as obstacle, and also here can also act as obstacle. So every swing point can act as obstacle. And what are obstacles? Obstacles are key level that can prevent price from going more higher or going more lower. Those are obstacle. Obstacle, I'll repeat that again. Obstacles are key levels that can prevent price from going more higher or going more lower. Now, if we have an uptrend like this, if we have an uptrend, if I want to take a trade, where am I expected to take a trade? This is the place where I want to take a trade. I'm expecting the market to come here. I take the trade, the market leaves. This place here can act as an obstacle, preventing this price from coming to our valid entry. This place also can act as an obstacle, preventing the price from coming here. So if the price reacts from here and leaves, this was an obstacle that prevented the price from coming lower. This is also an obstacle. Now, what if we have something like this? Because sometimes we take profits on obstacles without waiting for the market to get to this next swing high or swing low. If you have something like this is an uptrend also. Then where we want to enter the trade is here. Let's say we enter the trade here, which is a valid place to enter. Now, the next swing high to take our profit is here. And if you see below here, we have this resistance, internal apex break resistance. This area can act as an obstacle to reverse price or can act as an obstacle, preventing our trades from getting to our TP. So when you see scenarios like this, your obstacle here should be where you can take out 80% here, or instead of you taking out 80%, you can readjust your stop loss in case the market wants to use this obstacle, or in case this obstacle wants to prevent the price from going more to hit our TP. And we also have an obstacle here also. So these are all obstacles. The market can also use here. Here can prevent price and shift the price to change storyline. This was a weekly trade which we took here. So after taking this trade, after entering the market here, the next place to take our profits was on this weekly high. Either I can use the weekly high or the weekly close. So these were where we were supposed to take our profits. If I look at it, there was no obstacle here on weekly. What I always do is this for me, because when you watch some other traders, they'll tell you take obstacle on a lower time frame. If my trade is coming from a higher time frame, I will watch out for obstacle on that time frame. So since this trade was coming from my weekly, I looked at it, there was no obstacle. So that was why I was so sure of taking my profit at that one is to 46. If I'm taking my trade from daily, I make sure I watch out for obstacle on that daily. I will not leave daily and start looking for obstacles on 4 hour. That's not how most time you do that, you'll be taking out your TP so early and you won't be able to be hitting all those high RR. So if your trade is coming from a weekly key level, check out for obstacle on weekly. Where there is no obstacle, then allow it to run to the high or close of the previous week. Now, when you take a trade on daily, allow your trade to run to the previous day high or close where there is no obstacle on that daily. But if there are obstacle, you should also take note of that obstacle, because that daily obstacle can prevent your trade from hitting the TP. That obstacle can also reverse the price. Okay, we have here the weekly is GPUSD is bullish, bearish, and bullish. So weekly is still bearish. Let's see that weekly storyline since it was bearish. Now, since weekly was bearish, what did we expect? We expected the market to come and tap into our weekly key level and drop. Remember, weekly is bearish. We have weekly here. Weekly is still bearish because this is not rejecting from anywhere. So inside here, inside that area, inside this zone, that was last week because this was the week. This is the week that just ended. So inside this area where we always look for our SCFL and TTFL, let's see, we had one here. This was one here, which the market respected and came down. We also have another one here. Now, if this market really wanted to drop, it would have tapped the entry here, drop, or tap this one here and drop. But since this week that just ended did not tap this one and drop, and did not even use this one to keep on dropping, I'm not going to consider this area as a strong zone anymore to pick my trade. You see what happened last week on USDJPY when the week just opened and the market came straight to our key level, which we got from the weekly, which was here. There was valid entries here. The market came, tapped it, and left. That's the best way to trade when the market approaches your entry key level the next week or the next day. So since this week came and the market did not tap here, so coming back again, I'm not going to reason this area. I'm not going to reason this area. The only thing that will make me take a trade from here is going to be if the market does what? If continuation or confirmation reversal entry model, then I can pick the trade. Then my focus is going to be, since I'm going to be picking that trade from daily now, no more weekly. So if there's a confirmation entry here and I pick the trade here, then I can hold the trade to the previous day low, which is going to be here. The previous day low, the market, if there's a confirmation entry here, then I hold the trade to the previous day low. If the market is up, going bullish, and we pick our trade somewhere here, I like to run to the previous week or previous day high or close. You see that? Then if the market is in a downtrend. I came here and pick us in. I allow the trade to run to previous day what low or open. You see that? So that's how we run it. So you just understand. But just make it simple. I like to run to previous day low or previous day high. Just simple as that. So now, if I get a confirmation entry to pick a trade here next week, I'll allow it to run towards to my previous day where low or this previous day open, still okay.